Hey, I don't know if anybody's even going to come, but I saw this on the court website, and I just had to get it. This Sarah Boone, I swear, never ceases to amaze me. I don't guess. Well, I'm going to go ahead with or without anybody here and read it because I I want to read it, and I've been waiting to read it, but I didn't want to read it until I was on here. I figured one time would be enough. So I just hope I can. Well, it is. How long is it? It's 28 pages. I mean, my Lord, mercy. Well, I think she did include some of her. I think she included some of her letter from mm, when she was reading it in the court. And if so, there's a lot of that I won't be repeating. Um, so just amazing to me that she wrote such a long one. I was looking for, in all honesty, I was looking for her to do something. I just there was just no way that she was going to let all this go. I figured. So anyway, let's see. She wrote this. It's dated December the 6th of 2024, and it was filed with the Clerk's Circuit Court on 12/11/2024. Mr. Michael Kraynick. I think I'd have said, "Hi, Your Honor." Hi, Father Vincent LePew. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Um, you have to excuse me because I'll be watching my screen here so that I can read this letter by Sarah. She just doesn't stop. I'm going to get the ones that she wrote to the divorce court or that are out there floating around from that, and I'm going to read that too. She's she's definitely a case to be studied, I'm sure, for many different reasons. She just will not accept that her 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 previous attorneys were right. I'm sure that she tried her very best to get them to do this self-defense or this spousal abuse or whatever. It's crazy because she was the abuser. Oh my word. She was horrible, in my opinion. It's just horrible. Let me take me a I'm getting a bit of a sore throat. So hopefully ain't nothing. All right. Well, let me stop rambling and here we go. Who knows? I've never read one of hers. I may get some attitude. I may not. But anybody ready for, as I call this is the show, and it's put on by Sarah Boone. It's just amazing. Dear Michael Kraynick, I'm enclosing please my complete statement to you and the world as, as I partially read during my sentencing hearing. Wow. I wonder how many pages it really was. By my reserving particular parts of my very true and meaningful statement, I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness, understanding, and consideration in any level or degree. For me, unfortunately, and regardless of whom I had speak on my behalf, or the number of your ignorant mind was made up. From me, unfortunately, and regardless of whom I had speak on my behalf, or the number of your ignorant mind was already made up. Okay. All right. I had to reread that, I thought, but no. The number of people that spoke on her behalf. All righty. By your clear error and full blown unfair bias against me, since your involvement in my crucible case as a whole, crucible case as a whole, I have been unsuccessful in receiving anything from you as a supposed fair and neutral judge, except for your wish that I spend the rest of my life in prison. Well, I have to say, Sarah, I still would have adjusted him as your honor, but you go ahead. Oh my gosh. Please know and always remember, Mr. Kraynick, I forgive you. Still and sincerely. Please understand also, the judge, according to Cicero, is never to lose sight that he is simply a man, and that he cannot exceed the power given to him by his commission. That not only power but public confidence has been given to him, that he ought always very seriously to attend not to his wishes, but to the requisitions of the law, of justice and religion. Sic pro cluntis. Thank you, Sarah. Oh my God. So on the second, I believe, they appointed the appellate, the freebie appeals attorney. I'm excited in my appeal, which speaks for itself. My case law as well, in which I am extremely proud to have achieved and will continue doing so now that I am no longer in your corrupt court and free from your malevolent judicial grip. Sarah Boone versus the state of Florida. I also have added to my statement, as a result of your blindness and impartiality, foremost your disgust in me as being an outspoken woman, determined defendant, and proactive client, hoping the next time you put on your listening ears and do not unfairly oppress the next as you have so blatantly done me. Sarah, do you not realize the entire world agreed with the jury and the judge? Just in case you happen to listen to me. And I've not made a penny off of you. So there's that. You will never admit your many judicial errors, nor will the prosecutors theirs. And I will never admit to what you have wrongfully accused me of and judge me as. I am not a murderer. I am a survivor. Sarah Boone. No, Sarah, you were an abuser. And these shrinks that you talk to, well, can only judge by what you say. And you're pretty slick at trying to get away with shit. So we'll give you that. Black robe disease, arrogance in a judge, a slang term for a judge who flaunts judicial power and dominates proceedings at the expense of the dispensation of justice. Sarah, I've watched many judges. You had a very nice judge. He did follow the law. If you notice, all he did was hand down a sentencing. He gave no opinion of you, none whatsoever. And this letter is exactly why. Most judges will at least tell the person that they're sentencing what they feel of the sentence, what they feel was proven in court. But if Judge Kraynick would have said any of that to you, you would have somehow blocked it out. I need to stop giving my opinion every 5 seconds because, like I said, this is a 28 page, a 28 page letter. So let me see. Okay, let's see. Impartiality is the first duty of a judge. Before he gives an opinion or sits in judgment in a cause, he ought to be certain and absolute that he has no bias for or against either of the parties. If he has any interest, even the most slightest, okay, even the most slightest in the cause, he is disqualified from sitting as a judge, and when aware of such interests, ought to lawfully and justly refuse to sit on a case. The delicacy which characterizes the judges in this country generally forbids their sitting in such a cause. The judge must not only be impartial, but must also follow and properly enforce the law, not abuse. He is bound to declare what the law is and not make it be not an arbitrator, but as an interpreter of the law. It is their duty to be patient in the investigation of the case, understand circumstances and difficulties by all parties, carefully in considering parts, and if a case in whole, and decent in judgment. That's from a law dictionary. When you don't have anything on your hands but times, I guess you can do whatever. But at the risk of practicing judicial cynicism, a word I have coined in this presentation, others have called it black robe disease. Whether he was correct or not in my behavior, it is widely accepted that judicial behavior affects the jury. Murray Richard, 1996. Coming in strong there, Sarah. And then there's the worst of the judicial ailments, the black robe disease, which is otherwise known as arrogance. Oh, Sarah, we don't really need to know what you think of Judge Kraynick, and I doubt seriously he would care. But oh, this will not help your appeal. Oh, practical. Oh, this is Lynn Tolan, a practical guide to becoming an emotional genius. She's going to put this in everywhere like she big business. Trial judges are affirmatively charged with securing a fair trial and must intervene sua ponte to that end when necessary. Brown v. Walter. Oh my God. I'm not going to read all these. The duty that encompasses not only the avoidance of error before it occurs, but the fair correction of error that may have occurred earlier in a proceeding. I'm not going to read who she cites. she, in the instant case, the trial judge did not analyze the evidence, he added to it, dealing with a more mannerism of the accused in giving his testimony. The judge put his own experience with all the weight that could be attached to it in the scale against the accused. Okay, there she goes talking. This is what she read in court. Japanese ceramic style repair with gold in this tradition, and that's her. No, I'm not reading it. This is the wisdom of Tsukuroi. In my wisdom, nope. Okay, I'm skipping over what she said in court. If you want to know that, you can. This is so funny. Um, just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Sleep because I had to go to work. Three, one, oh, oh, here we are. Okay. Forgiveness not an attempt to change your goal. Oh, you could have blamed this. Yeah, I'm not going to read all this shit of I forgive George. That's ridiculous. But the very last thing is so where she says, I forgive George from trying to sleep because I had to go to work or anyone else or my son's field trip the next day. See, I really hate how she throws her son under. She's always throwing her son out there. Her ex-husband is not stupid. Just because we haven't heard from him, I bet you she used to hit him too. I'm not going to read. I'm not going to read that. This is all from what she said in court, which I thought was just so distasteful. Above all, just a second. I'm just making sure from threatening to kill my friends and the neighbors. I mean, they didn't have any neighbors that were interested in them, except the one that she used to go with. And she didn't have a job. That's what gets me. She didn't have a job. So, okay, let's see. Me almost blind for taking my car driving, for causing this. Forgive the family, caring too late. All right, I guess I should have looked because it's so funny. Social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great oppression and undeniable disadvantages. Sarah, sweetheart, you're the reason that it was out there. How you killed George and how you acted afterwards was seen on camera. So the reason that people feel what they feel is because they've watched you. Okay, let's see social media. My gold also runs deep from my prior attorneys. Mariko Padilla, who sold me the world with empty promises, then abandoned his responsibilities as my attorney after taking 2.5 years of my life when finally realizing he was in over his head, all while hoarding JAC dollars to fund his staycations with his family when in town from Miami, for having resources ready and available, not allowing me, the client, to ever utilize, which could have greatly progressed my case and perhaps concluded, only for him to decide water parks, fine dining, and choice hotels were more important and on the JAC's dime. I forgive Frank J. Bankowitz for committing perjury to the judge and on the court record about my attempts to be proactive defendant and client, inquiring about my discovery, then trying to communicate with no answer or correspondence in any manner for 1 full year and 2 months before I was able to finally meet with him in the courtroom, only to receive his motion to withdraw. Frank J. Bankowitz is forgiven for his greed in taking $15,000 from the JAC, who honorably aid indigent defendants as myself for taking advantage of and robbing the justice system by lying and avoiding clients, taking their money and the JAC's. Winston E. Hobson receives my forgiveness, who also unethically perjured himself to the judge and on the court record about all the progress and attorney work he done in my case for the 2 months he was court appointed. As for his allegations of my supposed unethical request, which meant me asking about my discovery and trying to have him file a motion for my lawful inclusion to my pretrial conferences cited under FRCP discovery. I wanted to be included in my case and no progress from being excluded by Bankowitz and Padilla over 3 years prior. Forgiveness also in telling me he would return in a week with my discovery, only to receive his motion to withdraw in the meantime, still not receiving my discovery, and I filing my own motion, enabling me to go to all my hearings, including my pretrials. Continued forgiveness is his greed and selfish intentions, also for robbing the JAC and indigent defendants of $15,000. More for nothing, justifying any work he really did do in the handful of days he represented me as my attorney. Finally, and with all my gold received from this one, I forgive Patricia A. Cashman for her mean, snotty, egotistical attitude and not listening or caring that I finally received my discovery. I kept asking her, for which she fully withheld from me, citing her ridiculous, untrue reasons, was because I saw with my first attorney 4 years prior, and while she being my present and at that time attorney, I saw not one page of or any digital evidence of my discovery. She prohibited me from seeing. Patricia A. Cashman is also forgiving for admitting I had a right to a bond I asked her for so I could actually utilize one of my rights as opposed to having them always violated as prior and still ongoing. Then her deterrence at all of my opportunities to do so, for all her lies, con, condescensions, condescension, condescension, gross, unnecessary arguments and anger that I asked any questions and I wanted to understand, for her doing nothing other than give me an even harder time and request transcripts, then brazenly lie for over $16,000 for doing so. Also, from the precious resources provided from the JAC, I forgive Patricia A. Cashman for being a liar and a bully. I gotta take a drink. Give me a second. Oh my God. I'm telling you. Hey, Mother of Vincent LePew. Okay, I'm not seeing my screen again. She's None of these people ask for forgiveness, Sarah. They could care less if you forgive them, and their conscience is clear. To have gone through that many attorneys tells me that you wanted them to do what you demanded this last attorney did for you. And maybe they knew it would be a lie. Maybe they had something else that they were seeing that they didn't. But no, hate to break it to you, but you are something else, Miss Sarah. You're pretty rude. All right, forgiveness for all those who did not include me to receive my $15,000 share I worked for when Judge Kraynick forced me to be my own attorney to represent myself as pro se. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? I actually finally got my own discovery almost 5 years later, filed motions all prior should have done, making them the most expensive motions ever at the her fancy writing isn't the easiest. At over $46,000 between the three prior attorneys, Frank Bankowitz, Walter E. Hobson, Patricia A. Cashman. Would they have done so when supposedly representing me? The motions would have been priceless for the proper use of the JAC funds towards ethics, professionalism, honesty, and freedom. I honorably utilized my JAC resources and mentorship as a proactive indigent defendant, avidly defending myself against the liars, thieves, and real villains in my criminal case. Who really is the criminal? The JAC can hopefully include their forgiveness for them also. Judge Wooten and Kraynick, I have great forgiveness for also in not protecting me, in listening to my valid request for judicial intervention, so I could properly and fairly defend myself against my charges. Instead, I had to defend myself against the attorneys, all appointed by the judge and the court, against their lies and exaggerations, reasons unjustifiable why they were really creeping away from the battlefield and abandoning their professional duty as my attorney. Judge Kraynick, I forgive you for not giving me any opportunity to stand at your pulpit, to stand at all, to explain the real, truthful side of the story. I believe if the justice system, including yourself, would and should have done any ritual homework on the already almost see through attorneys from being spread so thin and simply sending an email to care about their present workload. Number of clients, trial schedules already in place before throwing another inmate defendant unknowingly clients on the heaping unimportant pile of warm bodies. More taxpayer dollars could be conserved and less time consumed and wasted for everyone, regardless of what part they play in the supposed system of justice. My forgiveness is deepened for taking even greater time of mine away, years, by not caring to ask me anything about anything to understand, so you could justify rendering your life defining judgments and without any bias and prejudice. Foremost, Judge Kraynick, I forgive you for kicking me when I was down. Excuse me. And choking the life out of my constitutional amendments, most profoundly my sixth right to counsel, as a result of my wholehearted use of my first right to free speech, in being my own advocate since no one else would be, and received a paycheck for. In all of my free speech experience driven letters only for remedy and any collaboration inclusion, receiving my discoveries as an inmate, defendant, and client, not removal of any attorneys to cause. It looks like something one delays, or any reason or excuse you may try to force on me and have already inappropriately accused me of doing prior with your heavily insinuated strategies of mine to try and deflect the glaring red flags, disappointments, and true crime in and out of the justice system. To this day and all forward, I do not forfeit my rights, any of them, ever, especially the right to be bold, outspoken, and right in my real life experiences with the legal and justice systems. You weren't there, Judge Kraynick, in anything. No meetings, phone calls, visits, and I still look to my rights and oppressed harder. I must now defend myself against you, praying you do not care to have as all the others, not care to take as all the others. I don't know. Some of her letters are way too fancy for me. And retaliate further against me as a still proud citizen of the United States of my America, and freely, excitedly using my God given rights to still try and defend myself, to stand all the way up, for you to remove my freedom altogether by allowing and approving my stab wound, bloody body parts. I'm not going to say that. The R words she used, bumps, bruises, and all the rest of the beatings I endured. And I hope you can finally see and understand just some of the pain from the extreme difficulties, obstacles, and unfairness, especially in my due process. You have added in my criminal case and life as an inmate, defendant, and client. All is forgiven. For detectives Kepsell and Lowen, I forgive their dem- demonization, lies, blacklisting, coercion, law-breaking, solicitation of my case before I even arrived at the corrections department to be booked and fingerprinted. This can be seen in my unbeknownst interrogation video when I asked what they were doing, what the pinging was during their text swarm, while I have naively sit there waiting to be arrested, which they knew would happen the day before. For Q Purcell to ball, for bald-faced lying on the stand to the judge and court on record. She didn't tell me to come to the station to pick up my phone. Why else would I go? I didn't even know about the surprise interrogation. I forgive them for also lying. How the news showed up to record my walk of shame, handcuffed and confused on camera. I forgave them for trying to make me lose from the beginning by starting the unquestionable wildfire of sensationalism and distortion, ignorant hate, defamation, and greed by unlawfully broadcasting who they wanted the world to think I was by their schemes, learned lessons, and fraudulent stratagems. From the school of manipulation and taking advantage, how much did they make off me and still are for calling it in, then removing the curtain to expose their personally twisted, murdering monster? Also, my forgiveness and a greater goal comes from wondering why nothing viable in my defense was taken from my town home, aka the crime scene, to aid in my truth, such as the butcher knife, five-pronged garden claws, or hammer under the table, together outside, where George had easy access for use if I tried to leave or call for help. Oh, give me a break. While being, she's still lying about George. While being held against my will during his rageful binges. She says that she goes on to say something about him backhanding her when she hid the magnum sized bottle of vodka. No, but I can see her doing that to him. She was livid if he drank the last of something. He shouldn't do that, should leave it for her. I'm sorry, just a second. Hey, Mama Jama. Okay, going back to the screen where I can't see. Mm. So let's see. There were no crime scene photos taken of holes patched in walls and doors, some doors missing knobs, all locks George removed, cracked windows, broken furniture, obviously unnatural destruction in my townhome. How and why were these missed? Uncared about or not questioned, so I could explain some of my whatever this is. Teamer, whatever that is, I can't. It makes no difference. All is forgiven. Prosecutors, Mr. J, Mr. Cacciatore, and my forgiveness is also extended for your inappropriate attributed motives for having to go through years at my pictures, videos, texts so erroneously piece together your deceitful, damning version of what really happened and who I am. After so much availability and for so long, you were finally able to make the circle fit into the square. I forgive your antics, theatricals, ludicrous comments to make sure the world got their money's worth while watching with ignorant pitchforks and burning torches, hoping for the best from you, which is my worst. Instead of dropping the mic, Mr. J, you dropped the bat. No, Sarah, you dropped the bat. For the yelling, finger pointing, and intense under under thing to force your theoreticals and fantastics on by the fantasies on the jury by using imaginary space, adventures, and fictional characters to blind and bedazzle them with your far, far away from the truth dramatizations. In all of your pieced together productions, I forgive you most for never seeing the light in people, their human goodness, humor, and big hearts. You wake up to seek out the opposite, to condemn, to take the lives in your own way. See the good that does exist in all of us inherently and unforced, even as the proud Mr. J stated, they kicked dog that bites. Mr. J, who kicked the dog in the first place. In my wisdom, it's usually best to leave sleeping dogs lie, then they don't bite. All righty, Sarah. I just have to say, Sarah, you ought to stop being so forgiving. Oh my gosh. I mean, the way you slam the word forgiving, you if it's like it was when you were on the stand and you're reading and sincere, you lack any emotion whatsoever. But you have been found guilty by a jury, and most of the people from the outside watching the trial as well. So, oh Lord, here comes some more gold. My gold goes out to the jury for not understanding my cracks, from being blinded from the injustice and malpractice in all of the judicial and prosecutorial errors, the very apparent violations of my constitutional rights during my case and entire trial, which caused mass confusion and dysfunction. I forgive the jury truly for being weary from this confusion and dysfunction, also from being hungry and tired and wanting to go home to their families after being away from in full capacity for 2 full weeks. I understand. From this and their brash, misguided, corrupted decision, I was wrongfully judged a murderer instead of a survivor. For this, all is forgiven. For this, I can still survive and stand tall, having an even greater, the greatest opportunity to finally be understood in the Supreme Court for my appeal. In the end, I forgive myself for not choosing my life sooner, for not being more brave, vigilant, bolder, and outspoken, stronger, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, for being hopeless, desperate, simple minded, weak, and inexperienced. I forgive myself for not realizing I was enduring a life of domestic violence and that the vicious cycle of it never ends. I had nothing to compare to. I've never been hit by a man ever before in my life. I was raised hitting a woman was wrong and should never happen. No excuse. I forgive myself for not escaping permanently and for not fighting back sooner to save myself, my sons, my dog, home, car, and having 20/20 hindsight thinking of everything I could have done differently or better. To avoid the outcome, I think this is everyday sense. Also, of all the good days we had together, for him at least, while I was constantly in hyperdrive, high alert and paranoid, making sure I did everything right all the time. I know if not, the great possibility I would be ended as George threatened me with so many times before. But not once did you get a single threat ever recorded, did you? What you did was push and push and push George until he finally would balk back, and when he would balk back, it would explode. I think that it was you that reached over to George and said, "Let's play hide and seek. You're it." And you went and hid in the bathroom. And when he didn't come and find you, you got mad. Now, why he got into the suitcase, I'll never know. Oh, Lord. I forgive myself for falling in love with a monster, and no matter how grotesque he may become, I still loved, hoped, and forgave. I tried breaking the spell so he wouldn't be a monster anymore. I saw he was inside. George made me then, now, and always love him. For all of his cracks, also. We made each other our own brilliant pieces of art from the cracks and repairs, and fortunately, not all cracks can be. In all of my forgiveness, George is my greatest lesson, and I will never, oh, and will be a part of me, forever be a part of me. I think of him every day and still speak to him when alone on the rec yard. I ask his forgiveness and that he looks for me at the gates of heaven so I can tell him how sorry I am endlessly and that I never stop loving him on all of it and still. When I first came to jail, I put my mat under my bed and cried all day and night for months, only falling asleep from being so exhausted with grief. I wrote him letters. I wrote his family and his daughters apologizing and asking for their forgiveness. But due to fear, yeah, she wrote this in court too. I don't know why she would think her life would have been in jeopardy. That's stupid. Anyway, that's what she says. Let's see. Oh, Lord. Almost everything reminds me of him. Seeing my stab wound every day, especially. It truly reminds me all I really did live through. I wouldn't doubt it if you stabbed yourself in the leg, to be honest. George haunts me. He's everywhere. I believe because I do still love him, think of him, and miss his laugh the most in my heart. I know he is with me and understands that this tragedy was not intentional. I hope everyone can, his family foremost. I didn't mean for this to happen. Please, wholeheartedly, know that, and always I would never. So then we get the "Forgive Me, George," Torres family, Judge Kraynick, and the entire planet. Um, graciously and humbly ask for consideration, for forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment, for reconciliation and restoration for all of us to move forward. My apology is profuse and ceaseless. Allow me to please brush off the muck, wipe the blood off my face, and fix the cuts in my skin. As for understanding what really happened and for how long, for second chances, repentance, and redemption, to advocate for all domestic violence survivors, to help them overcome, heal, and still hope always to make their voices heard, to confidently walk with all of their scars on the outside and inside, to help them not ever become a casualty of domestic violence as so many others, to stop the abuse and the maltreatment before it's too late. There's always hope. You can survive. In my soft spoken conclusion, right as I ask this, oh, here we go. Would I be the darling mother celebrated woman of the year if it were I who died? How many daughters, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers, nieces, and friends have because they did? I am a survivor. You are full of shit, Sarah. Sarah says, learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Isaiah 117. All encompassing, protect the abused. Sarah Boone, 12:2 of 24. Wow. I thought, yeah, I know they should. I thought that this was going to take me like way, way long to read because of it being 28 pages. But what I did is I skipped most of what she said um, when she read her stuff. That was all in there. I just skipped it. It's so disgusting the things that she said about George and his family. And um, you know, I mean, people say that the appellate folks don't pay any attention to anything, but they're human. I hope somehow one of them comes across this because it just reiterates that she's out there like Pluto is all I gotta say. I know I feel very sorry for George and I feel very sorry for his family. It and that's that I mean, I couldn't help but read it because I've been waiting, honestly, I just knew there was something gonna come. I just knew it. And if she expects the appellate attorney to hold her hand and to do as she asks, and she's going to end up with no appellate attorney. I hope she understands there ain't no getting three, four, seven of them. I mean, she needs to just settle with who she's got, listen to them, and shut her mouth. But everybody knew. You could see it, and the most surprising thing to me is um, the videos that she had of George. I mean, the one where she woke him up. He's down to sleep, and she wakes him up yelling, "Where are my keys?" I can't even imagine what it would have been like living with her, to be honest. I mean, but she's got the letter from the letter that she wrote the judge. It was regarding the divorce. I think it was quite a long letter. I want to read that one too. Well, she would have had to have served at least 6. I think that would have given her it would have given her, like, 15 years, I think, I thought. I don't remember. It would have been not very much, and they tried to use that in the court, that, well, they did do this offer. Well, yes, they did, but the offer was contingent upon her standing up and taking responsibility for killing George. And no way. Uh, okay, yeah, Mamma Jamma. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, but she was halfway there. If she had to serve 8 years before she could have gotten parole, she was halfway there. But and she would have then had other rules and things to follow. So I don't know. But I will tell you, I found it very entertaining. I found it very interesting. One of the attorneys that, not attorney, one of the doctors that came on and, said they were willing to come and testify for her and did testify for her regarding spousal abuse or whatever it's called. I forget. Y'all can tell I'm tired. I wrap Christmas presents all day. But um, that was amazing to me because she lost my place. Sarah, hold on just a second and I'll find it again. Oh my gosh, Lord, getting old, it's not necessarily your golden years. You'd be missing them. Thank you, Mama Jamma, battered spouse. You know, many survivors never let you know they're a survivor. After, I don't know, was it 25 years? Maybe it was 20. It just kind of start to fade, you know, when you're not. I, I still jump sometimes at noise and stuff, but Sarah, no. I mean, and there's whatever she was talking about, or they talked about her first night when she first met him. She was married to her husband still living in the same house. Now she says that they didn't, start anything until the divorce proceedings or whatever. I don't believe her. I don't believe her. But I do hope that her son, um, and her ex-husband can finally start their life now because goodness no, I mean, what can y'all imagine? I can't imagine. My heart breaks for his son. It was really funny because tonight I had planned on doing a video of yeah, a look that yeah, a DB shelter. It's a look in the eye that I catch now. There's a fear and a sadness. You're like not deer in the headlights. It's I don't know because you have to look really deep to see it. But usually you can spot it. I will say that, you know, as a survivor, I feel bad when I doubt people who talk about it because people all react differently, and I understand that. But with Sarah Boone and the same with Bree Coon, the trial that I did not long ago, um, who shot her husband and then tried to claim the same thing, spousal battered spouse syndrome. And it was the same shrink that they're both in Florida, but it was the same shrink that did Sarah Boone that also was going to testify for Bree Coon. She did not testify for Bree Coon because Bree Coon decided not to testify. So I think she was confused because she thought if she did testify, um, well, no, she was going to testify, and then when the judge explained, well, if you don't testify, I have to read to the jury, the instructions where you can't hold it against her. And so I thought, well, you know, she seems to think that that's the better way to go because then it slowed everything down. Well, because she didn't get on the stand and testify, they couldn't use that doctor, um, not for spousal abuse. You can't. You have to testify because you have to say it, and then they have to say, um, Oh god. Yeah, George on that hallway floor. And when she did that thing about the when she took a picture of him beating up the television, I don't think it was even a TV they used. It seemed like it had stuff taped on it, and it seemed like there was stuff on the floor to catch it. Now, I could be wrong, but it just, and I've had TVs that you don't use anymore that just kind of sit around. Matter of fact, we just got rid of one not long ago just because it was just sitting there taking up space. So, um, they might have talked about it, thought it would be funny to tear it up and set it together because there was no fighting going on then. If you remember, if you watch the trial and they showed that video, excuse me, there was no fighting, no arguing. It was just so strange. Oh, but the other thing I was going to say is, um, before I saw that this came out, this letter hit the docket, I was going to. I've been doing some research on Dr. Marie Russell, the dog bite expert. Um, that the Commonwealth wanted to be able to uh, keep from testifying, and she's phenomenal. I mean, there's what I found about her. So I'm going to do a video about that. I don't know if people will be interested or not, but that, and then the gentleman, the dog bite expert, that's also he did one video on this after I think it was Melanie asked him to look at the photos, and he was like, "Oh yeah, dog bite all the way." So, you know, um, I don't know what the Commonwealth is doing, but to me, I think that this dude that they brought in, I think it's Brennan. I think Brennan needs to just be honest with them and tell them, this. I don't know how you got the case past the grand jury the first time with the lack of evidence that you have. So yeah, so I just have a little bit I was going to say about that, but and I don't keep up with it as much. I try to see if I can find what's going on in court, but there's some bickering and stuff going on. I stay completely away from that. Yeah, I think there is Mama Jamma, but I thought that the defense also filed something. I don't know. I have to look. Um, there's supposed to be a hearing, but I thought that they asked her to, it's going to look kind of funny if she doesn't allow her to testify. How do you deem her fit to testify in the first one? Oh, she did deny it? Wait, she denied their request? Or she denied what did she deny, Mama? Oh, she denied cancel the oh! So tomorrow oh, well, maybe I will hang up. Oh my god, like I'm talking on the phone. Oh, well, maybe I will go ahead and do that tonight then, because I found some articles I wanted to read. But I don't see how she can not allow her to testify as an expert, even though it's a separate trial, because she's already allowed it once. It makes no sense. But I mean, she can all she wants. I mean, um, I wonder how many dog bite experts are out there that would just do it for free. And I mean, she seems to have a problem. Beverly had a problem with the fact that Dr. Russell reached out to the defense team. Now, do they have to qualify her again? Huh. Well, sh yeah, they are. They're trying to drain her of they're not gonna win any other way. I mean, eventually this crap has to stop. So, when I think of what I want to say when I call the DOJ, but isn't that where one of Brian Albert's daughter worked for the DOJ? She works for something. I got to go back and listen. Something in the government. According to Bev, they have to requalify her tomorrow. Okay. Well, I guess tonight, maybe I'll go have me a little break and then come back. I had read some articles and pulled some stuff up about what was said. And I mean, I did notice because I did go back through and watch her testify, and they were just so rude to her. I mean, you could tell that Beverly had definitely rattled Dr. Russell. And I don't mean rattled her in a sense that she was forgetting things. You could see how uncomfortable she was sitting there. Yeah, she did. You could see it. And I think Dr. Russell could feel it. So, but she had a problem with the fact Dr. Russell reached out. All Dr. Russell reached out and said was she thought she could help clarify which it was. Was it from a car? Was it from a dog? And then when they asked her about could it have happened by a car, she referred you to those experts. Even though in my opinion, with her experience, she should have been able to tell you unless she didn't have enough information to say it. And Beverly was also mad and they thought they caught her in a lie because she didn't name off 2 things that the defense had sent her in the email. Excuse me. She had not, read them. Hmm. Well, Beverly was waiting for her so they could nab her on it, that's why she was "No, this is very important." "This is for what? Why is it so important?" I mean, lady, all she needed was a photo, I'm sure, I mean, that's how I felt anyway. I saw it and I said, "It's a dog bite." No car did that, certainly no taillight. Yep, she did, and she was I mean, if you listen to her and one of the things that I mean, she is just, um yeah, I've just gotta go get the article and just read it because it was, see, Mother of Vincent LePew, that's what I do not understand. People in Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Mother of Vincent LePew. I love dogs. I'm always really funny, though, well, not funny. I always ask the adult, "May I touch it?" "Does it bite? Does it like people?" And if they're saying, "Oh," "Yeah, you can pet her," and as I'm saying, "Are you sure?" Immediately, my hand is turned like this. I mean, not up, but down. My hand is already down so that the dog can sniff me. And then if ever I found one that wasn't receptive after that, then I wouldn't pet them. But I can't think of ever, unless it's a teeny puppy, maybe. I can't think of ever going up to a dog and not offering my hand for them first to their nose so they can decide if they like it or not. If ever, like I said, if I ever find one that the back of their little fur starts standing up, I ain't gonna pet you, buddy. You don't, Chihuahuas, right? Chihuahuas, I was surprised. I saw a lady with a Chihuahua in, I don't know, Walmart or something not long ago, and, you know, it well, it's funny because I say an old lady, and I'm an old lady now, but my age or older, and, she just got so ticked because I always will talk to the dog. I will talk to unless it's working. Okay. If I come in contact with anybody with a working dog, whether they're blind or if they have a medical thing that says, I'm working, never ever would I even speak to the dog. But if I see a dog and a human, I'm gonna talk to the dog. I'm really not addressing the human, I don't know them. But, I had a little chihuahua the other day, and a lady said, "Oh, yeah, you can pet her, she loves to be pet." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because most of them little whippersnappers wanna bite you, you know? But sure enough, I put my hand and did that sniffing and had the regular shake that a chihuahua has, but, yeah, just lapped up the loving. But, I mean, I'm very respectful of dogs. And, that's just like I say, I mean, I love animals. I would love to be able to pet a lion. Well, common sense tells you I'm not going to go pet one because that's not what they're made for. And, oh, well, thanks, Mother Vincent LePew. I figured that was a right behavior. But I also, even though a pet owner will tell me it's okay, I just believe, you gotta get it from the dog too. And, I get it I have to sense how the dog senses me, so my hand goes down, "Let's introduce ourselves, and if we don't get along, if you don't want me in your business, I'm not gonna get in it." I've never had a dog be aggressive towards me that somebody has said. I've had dogs where people have said, "Well, and no, well, you know, they don't really care for other people that have followed me around after, but, I love 'em. My dogs, so they're well, our other pup passed 2 years ago, but Sassy, she's a Pomeranian. She's spoiled rotten, has absolutely no behavior, none. If I tell her not to do something, the only thing she listens to me is when I say, "Come on, it's time to go night night," and she get up and come get in the bed. That's it. She said, "Okay, mama, I'm going to bed." Excuse me, but she won't go to bed unless I'm like, "All right, let's go to bed." Listen, guys, I'm gonna go get a little, see if I can get some of my voice to stop. All of a sudden, my throat's hurting, so go take a few drinks or whatever, and I may put up a video about it. I got to get all my stuff back together. It won't be a long video, and it won't be live. I'll just post it after I've done it because, like I said, I looked her up the other day, um, just out of curiosity, But I mean, they let I mean, come on, folks. If you can let Trooper Paul testify, you're gonna have to let. I mean, I don't care if Gumby comes up. If Gumby came in and asked to testify, you're gonna have to say yes because why? Because good Lord, you let Trooper Paul testify. He's about the biggest idiot I've ever seen. And I've heard people say that they feel sorry for Trooper Paul. No, not me. I don't have an ounces because he wanted to do that. He wanted to be in with them boys. He wanted to be testifying, and he sold his soul to do it because he got up there and I mean, I mean, like I said, how could the judge not have even been pissed off over him? So I'm not going to go all into that case while I'm on this one, but I didn't realize she had denied that. So I'll go ahead. I was just going to do that. Like I said, that was my plan tonight until I looked on the website and saw Sarah Boone had written a letter. So, I mean, do y'all believe she wrote that letter? Was anybody else thinking she would write something else? I'm just curious before I go if anybody else thought that she would. Wow, if I look up there, I see my TV playing. Yeah, I thought I I just don't see her letter stopping. Yeah, just too much to say. But the problem is nobody believes her, and she is not going to stop until they do. So, you know, yeah, probably is. 28 pages. It was 28 pages. Well, I just thought that she would be pouring it more on her ex now, um, Mr. Boone. And I need to find her maiden name because she's not a Boone. She even says she's not a Boone. Yeah, I know there was a lot of similar wording, and in some of it, if I realized that it was something she read in the trial, I skipped, and there were a few other things that she really. Oh, Paulson. Okay, well, that's what I'll call her now because I she don't have no right, in my opinion, to to have his name. She really doesn't. Well, thanks. Y'all are so helpful to me. I think I'm getting fever again. I'm gonna have to go take me some Tylenol or something. I know. Mama's good here. But yes, is it Mama? Is that right? Am I saying that right? I hope so. I hope I'm not embarrassing myself. And some of her words I couldn't make out because they were just so, you know how when you try to write fancy? Well, she tried to write too fancy. SKR is great. He calls her, who's SKR? I've got to find all the other letters because I want to read them just because. But I don't know who SKR is. I haven't had time to listen to many. I listened to a lot of upcoming. I can't wait for Corey Richards' trial. That one. Now my mind's already made up on that before we go. I've already decided she's guilty, so they're gonna have to show me something really good. Oh, dramatic reading of all her letters. How cool! I don't think I was dramatic. I think I was like I was trying to be snarky like she is, or I don't know. Maybe make her see how stupid it is the way she says it. "Ooh, I'm hot." Well, listen, y'all, I'm so glad that I got to see y'all. It's been a while. Um, I'm gonna try eventually to do some. Is he hilarious? I'll have to look him up. I'm gonna try eventually to do like regular um, videos, but for now, it's just hit and miss. My grandkiddos get sick, and then I get sick, and um, takes me a while to get over being sick, and then they get sick again, and then I get sick again. So maybe after the holidays, but I got a lot of wrapping done today. We just have to do a little bit more shopping, and we'll be done. I'm glad. I'm glad. Except I still haven't sent Corey's Christmas present yet. I've got to get that done, and it's got to go over to the UK. But anyway, I'm going to bid y'all a good night. And I thank y'all for coming, and I will see y'all next time, whenever that is. I guess they say that you can't. Um, oh, good night, Mother Vincent Lepew. It was good to see you. You take care of yourself too. Oh, thank you. Well, I will see y'all later, and I hope y'all have a really good night. And I'll see if I can dig up that stuff about the doctor. Be interesting. It's no video, it's just some articles I found that I'm gonna read a little bit about her. So, bye, y'all. Thanks for coming.